Love X Revenge. Welcome to our channel, where powerful emotions collide with life-changing choices. Here, every story reveals how love, sacrifice, betrayal, and unexpected redemption can completely transform lives. Stay with us, because today's story is one of those that leaves a mark on the heart. She refused food to buy books. At first glance, it sounded almost poetic, like something that belonged to a movie scene or an inspirational quote on a wall. But for Emily Hart, it was not poetry. It was survival, and it was her dream. Emily worked the closing shift at a small cafe near the business district. It wasn't glamorous: sticky tables, impatient customers, and a manager who counted napkins like they were diamonds. But the location had one unexpected perk. At exactly 8 p.m., the glass doors of the towering Blackstone corporate building opened, and dozens of employees streamed out. Among them, sometimes, was the CEO himself. Elias Blackstone. Every employee whispered about him. The genius billionaire, the prodigy, the man who built an empire before 35. Cold, calculating, dangerously intelligent. A man who didn't believe in excuses or weakness. Emily didn't care about any of that. She had bigger worries: rent, exams, textbooks that cost more than her entire monthly salary. She was studying law, determined to become someone her younger brothers could look up to. Determined to give them a life she never had. So she made her choices. Hard ones. Like skipping meals so she could afford the textbooks she needed. Every evening she bought the cheapest black coffee and pretended it filled her stomach. Nobody noticed. At least she thought nobody noticed. One rainy Tuesday, everything changed. The cafe was almost empty. Emily stood at the counter, flipping through a used law book she'd found at a secondhand stall. The smell of old pages comforted her more than the aroma of coffee ever could. Her hands shook a little, not from cold but from hunger. She hadn't eaten since yesterday afternoon. The bell over the door chimed. She didn't look up. "Welcome, I'll be right." A low voice interrupted. "You've read that page 3 times." Her head snapped up, and her heart nearly stopped. Elias Blackstone stood there, tall, sharp-jawed, impeccably dressed. His presence filled the room like a sudden storm. She froze, gripping her book like a shield. I was just not eating," he said calmly, "so you can buy that." She felt heat rush to her cheeks. No one had ever said it aloud. No one had ever confronted her. "I'm fine," Emily muttered. "It's none of your business." Maybe it should be. What did that mean? She didn't have time to figure it out. He ordered a simple latte and sat at a corner table, but his eyes kept drifting to her. Every time she felt his gaze, she stiffened. The next night, he came again. And the next. He always ordered the same drink. Always stayed longer than a CEO should have time for. Always watched her with a strange, unreadable expression, as if she was a puzzle he was slowly assembling. But Emily wasn't interested in puzzles. She was interested in surviving. Then came the night everything shattered. Her manager, Mr. Collins, stormed out of the office, shouting loud enough for the whole building to hear. "Emily, my office, now." She hurried to him, confused. Elias, sitting silently in his usual corner, lifted his gaze. "You've been taking leftovers again, haven't you?" Collins accused. Her blood turned cold. They were going to be thrown away. "Doesn't matter," he barked. "Unless you plan to pay for every crumb, you're fired." Fired. The word hit her like a punch to the chest. Her brothers, her rent, her tuition, everything depended on this job. "Please," Emily whispered. "I need this shift. I didn't steal anything. It was trash. Trash or not, you broke policy. Get out." Her vision blurred. She grabbed her book, her bag, her dignity, what little was left, and walked out of the cafe as rain began pouring outside. She didn't cry. She couldn't. But someone followed her. Emily. She spun around. Elias stood behind her, holding an umbrella, rain dripping from the edge of his coat. "What do you want?" she snapped, unable to hold back anymore. "Justice," he said simply. She blinked. "Justice? You were fired unfairly, and you're sacrificing meals for books. That tells me more about you than you think." She laughed bitterly. "Why do you care?" You're a billionaire. My life is nothing to you. You're wrong. His voice was low, almost dangerous. A storm within a storm. Come with me. She shook her head. No, I'm not going anywhere with. But he didn't wait. He walked straight into the cafe, dripping rainwater on the floor, and went to the counter, where Collins stood smugly. Are you the manager? Elias asked. Yes, sir. You're fired. Collins turned 3 shades of red. Excuse me. You can't do that. I can, Elias responded, pulling out his phone. Because I just bought this cafe. The room went silent. Emily stared at him, stunned. You, what? He turned to her, eyes steady and firm. I've been watching you for weeks. Not because I'm curious about your life. Because I admire you. You're hardworking, focused, determined enough to starve just to learn. People like you deserve opportunities, not punishment. What are you saying? She whispered. I'm making a decision, he said. One that will shock everyone. He paused, letting the moment sink in. You're not losing a job, Emily. You're getting a better one. Come work for me, not as a barista, as a legal assistant at Blackstone Corp. Her breath caught in her throat. I'm not qualified. You're more qualified than half the interns I've interviewed this year. I've seen your notes, your books, your dedication. That's what I want in my company. She shook her head, overwhelmed. Elias, why me? He stepped closer, lowering his voice. Because you remind me of who I used to be. Hungry, determined, alone, and because. He hesitated. Because I want to see what you become when you don't have to starve to succeed. Her chest tightened. But people will talk. They always talk, he said calmly. But I make decisions based on merit, not gossip. She swallowed hard. And what do you want in return? Elias studied her, rain softly hitting the glass doors behind him. Nothing, he said, except for you to believe that you deserve better than scraps. The world felt suddenly lighter. Warmer, brighter than the storm outside. Slowly, Emily nodded. Okay, I'll do it. A rare smile appeared on his lips, small, genuine, almost hidden. Good. Your first day is Monday. But what about this cafe? She asked. He glanced around the empty room. I'll renovate it. Turn it into a study cafe for students. Free books. Half-price meals. No one should have to skip food to learn. Her eyes widened. You'd do that. I already did, he replied softly. I bought it for you. It wasn't romantic. Not yet. But something powerful shifted between them. Respect, admiration, possibility. Days turned into weeks. Emily stepped into Blackstone Corp as an employee, not a barista. Colleagues whispered, shocked. Why her? How did she get hired? What did the CEO see in her? But she ignored them. She worked harder than anyone. She earned her place. And Elias watched her with quiet pride, never interfering, never crossing lines, but always being there when she needed guidance. One evening, after she successfully handled a case research task that senior assistants struggled with, he approached her office. Emily, he said softly, I made a risky decision hiring you. Many people questioned it. She looked up nervously. Did I disappoint you? On the contrary, Elias murmured. You proved me right. Their eyes met, and something unspoken passed between them, something warm, frightening, and beautiful. Her voice trembled. What now? Now, he whispered, we see where this story goes, together. And in that moment, Emily realized she hadn't just gained a job, or a future. She had gained someone who believed in her more than she believed in herself. Someone who made a decision that shocked everyone, including her. Love x Revenge.